Hey, what's going on, guys? It's TheGamingGabe here, and welcome to a brand new video and a brand new video essay. Today, I'm going to be talking about Juventus, and especially after the fact that they find themselves quite low in the Italian Serie A. To be specific, they find themselves not even in the top 6, they find themselves in 8th place, 3rd place in the Champions League, down to the Europa League. What has happened to this team in the past 3 years? Because looking back at 2019, 2018, 2019, when Cristiano Ronaldo was bound to join them, they had won 9 Serie A's. 9 Serie A. That is just absolutely outrageous. Winning the Italian league 9 times in a row. Just one more season away from being able to win it 10 times in a row. Something that no other team has been able to do or has been closer to doing so than Juventus recently. They just collapsed. And what's happened there? 2019 was really, really good for them. And then 2020, they just really collapsed. They fell into 4th place as well. They fell into 4th place, losing to the title to Inter. Last season, they did the same thing, losing the title, not to Inter this time, but to AC Milan, and their Champions League run was just horrible both those years, having lost to Lyon back in 2020, 2-2 on away goals, to a French team that barely qualified for the Champions League. That shouldn't be happening. You look at the 2020-2021 season, they lost in the round of 16 to Porto, 4-4 on away goals. Same difference. Why are you guys losing to a Portuguese team? Now you look at last season. Oh my goodness, 3-0 to Villarreal. I get it. Credit where credit is due. They did lose to the eventual semifinals, but still, I went into this match thinking Juventus are going to easily slap Villarreal. I did not expect them to lose 3-0, and now this season they've literally gone and gotten themselves Europa League football. What is going on? And honestly, you can blame Cristiano Ronaldo and him leaving, you can blame the manager, but what I really think set in for this team was just general complacency. If you won your team's Nations League 9 times in a row, you obviously start to feel complacency towards the manager, complacency towards your team. You think, oh my god, if I won the league 9 times in a row, surely I can win in the 10th. What's stopping me? And I think that's where that issue starts to creep into Juventus. And I get it that they've fired managers recently back in after the Champions League defeat. They fired Pirlo after getting 4th place. They fired another manager, and now they've signed Algeri. But what is it going to take for Algeri to get fired? Because if you look at the way that Algeri has been playing as of late, it's not entertaining and good football. Similar to my Atletico Madrid video that was uploaded recently, this video has 3 main areas that I'm going to focus on. And first and foremost, that is Andre Pirlo playing horrible tactics. Now, I understand that Italy loves to play the 3-5-2. It is what has won Inter Milan that title back in 2020. It is what had driven them so well. But you have to realize that for Inter Milan, it worked because they had a strong defensive 3. Their midfield was stacked. And I understand that with a 3-5-2, basically playing 3 defenders, 5 midfielders, 2 strikers, you want to overload the midfield, right? You have 3 center midfielders, maybe one that's a bit more offensive, more defensive. It allows you to have variability depending on who you play. And then you have 2 players really out wide who can be basically anything you want them. You want them to be offensive, attacking-minded midfielders, it can be that. You want them to be wide midfielders, they can be that. They want them to be wingbacks who defend more, it can be that. And that's why it worked for Inter Milan. Inter Milan had so many different types of players that all worked together, had chemistry with each other, that it worked for them. And then you look at Algeri's version of that, and it just doesn't work. You're trying to play a 3 at the back with 2 center backs who are at best okay. They're not world beaters anymore. Bonucci, he's alright. Alexandro as a center back, it's just not that good anymore, because he is a cut and clear left back. Like, he is not that good. Like, if you look at the lineup in the final game against PSG in the Champions League, you have Wojciech Szczesny, good keeper, decent keeper, keep him in all the time. Alexandro, I think he can do an okay job. I don't know though. It's a bit risky. Bonucci, you gotta keep him in. He's your captain at this point. Keep him in. Gatti, I'm really not sure what you can do with him anymore. That's honestly an issue, and I understand that injuries are a big part of this. Juan Cuadrado out as a wingback, again, it does not make sense. Looking at the squad, they could easily switch to a 4 at the back and play a 4-4-1-1 easily, and I think they would have a lot more better. They would work out better. Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, just not that good. Miretti, I never even heard of this guy. Don't really rate him. Andre Milik, I know he's had a lot of hype around him, but I just don't think he's the right player. Now, Federico Chiesa being on the bench it's a mistake, honestly. I really don't think he deserves to be on the bench, and I feel like he should be a constant starter, especially for the transfer fee that Juventus paid for him. He should be there. And I understand that they are without their main striker, Dusan Vlahovic, but Vlahovic needs to be starting day in, day out, and he is not. The way that Algeria plays, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Like, the reason it works with Inter Milan is because you have a type of striker who feeds the other one. So with Inter Milan, you have Romelu Lukaku being the big number 9, the one that's a target man. It will just run and bully anybody out of the way. Lautaro Martinez, who's the shorter type of player, he'll weave in and out, pass the ball to Lukaku. Lukaku will finish. Whereas with Algeria, it doesn't work. They're trying to play with a trequartista who doesn't know if he's actually a trequartista center forward or if he's just playing as a shadow striking cam. Like, there's just that cohesion that just doesn't work. And because Algeria is so stubborn to want to change, and he just doesn't want to capitalize and use its players correctly, it just doesn't work. Now, what would I suggest? If he really wants to stick with the 3 at the back, 5 in the midfield, just run a 3-5-2 like Inter does. But personally, I would run a 3-4-3 at this point. Just use Vlahovic, Chiesa where they belong, striker and wing respectively. Push Cuadrado and Sandro back out wide. I understand they're not that fast anymore, but for the love of God, do it. They're not center backs good. They're more of an offensive wingbacks, and teach your players to be disciplined. Salernitana, that game, they should have won, and then they draw 1-1 because of a stupid penalty and red cards and all sorts of disasters. Like, Juventus, complacency is their biggest issue, and this is like the second point that I really feel is just what hammers Juventus down a notch in Europe and in Italy, is the fact that they're complacent. They think, we've done it before, we can do it again. But the thing is, each season they're only worsening. Like, back in 2020, they lost in the round of 16 to Lyon. Back in 2021, they lost in the round of 16 to Lyon. To Porto. Back in 2022, earlier this year, they lost to Villarreal 3-0 in the round of 16 again. This season in 2022-2023, they're not even making it to the round of 16, they're making it to the Europa League round of 32. And it's because they're complacent. They thought, we made it to this point again. Easy group, we can get out. But they can't. They're not playing good football. They overestimate themselves without actually looking back and looking at themselves and saying, what do we need to improve? Now, Leonardo Bonucci and Giorgio Chiellini, when Chiellini still played at Juventus back in 2021, they opened up about these issues and actually stated that the reason that Ronaldo left was because they were using Ronaldo as a scapegoat. And why is this an issue? This means that they're basically blaming Ronaldo for any and all issues that Juventus has. And now that they don't have Ronaldo, what's their blame? They don't know. They don't have one anymore. And Juventus aren't going to fire Algeria. Obviously, because they can't find anybody better than Algeria. They're not going to take back Pirlo after they fired him twice. They're just going to have to ride it out with Algeria. But Algeria isn't a safe option. The only other manager I could see them maybe picking up is Thomas Tuchel, but the way Thomas Tuchel plays, he prefers to play a 5 at the back, and with the way that Juventus have been playing as of late, they're more suited to a 4 at the back, so I don't think that's going to work. So Juventus are in between a rock and a hard place, but it is really, really, truly self-inflicted on themselves. They've been complacent ever since they won their 9th Serie A all the way back in 2018-2019. They've been complacent having Ronaldo, and that's shown in Europe. Like, poor decisions, poor transfers, poor tactics, and just overall complacency has let this team down. Honestly, Juventus could be doing so much more, and especially with players like Chiesa and Vlahovic, they deserve better. I would not be surprised that if Vlahovic leaves Juventus in the next season or two, and honestly, I bet he's probably regretting by now not going out to Arsenal. Arsenal are a much better squad, and I know back in January of this year, 2022, it did not look like that, but looking at it now, yeah, they're the better team because they play their tactics correctly. So all in all, Juventus are in a rock and hard place, and it is themselves that they have to blame, and it is themselves that they're going to need to look at and use to make themselves better. But what can they do in the immediate? Honestly, either give Pirlo an ultimatum that he needs to start winning, or get rid of him and find a new manager. It's high time that Pirlo learns how to play his formation correctly, play the 3-5-2 as it should, and not play a 3-5-1-1, and have a stern talking to the Juventus players, and remind them, Ronaldo isn't here. You have nobody else to blame but yourselves. These players, they need to wise up, sharpen up, and get stuck in the game. There's nobody to blame anymore except for themselves. And if Juventus had any hopes to salvage their season this year, whether that be barely getting into the Champions League or maybe making a deep run into the Europa League, they're going to need to dig deep. Starting now, starting tomorrow on their next Serie A game, they are going to need to dig deep if they want to even have a chance to be able to get back to what they once were. Because remember, nothing ever lasts forever, and Juventus have learned this the hard way. So that's my thoughts on Juventus' recent state of form. And if you guys like what I do, leave a comment, drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe. You know, I'm doing a lot more of these video essays recently, and I'd love for you guys get involved in the comment section down below. Let me know what teams I should talk about next, if I should do past, present, current, future, anything you guys would like to see, drop it down in the comment section below. And if you guys like what I do, hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to try and post more recently. Got all types of things on this channel. We got Formula 1 video essays, Football Manager, FIFA, anything and everything, even memes. You know, so there's something out there for you, and I'd love to see you guys be here. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.